And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Tuesday, April 19th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories read here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. And here are some of the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. The Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Council, Wampanoag Natural Resources Department, and the Cape Cod Foundation are sponsoring a day of Quahog and shellfishing with tribal youth. That's coming up on Friday, April 22nd from 9 until 11 a.m. and it's being held at the Papaneset Bay Sand Spit Family Area. Tribal youth will learn about great tradition of Wampanoag shellfishing, including proper harvesting, care for the natural environment, and traditional uses of the shellfish by the Wampanoag people. You can get additional information about that by contacting Brooke Scannell at 617-922-0094 or email to brooke at thescannellgroup.com, and we'll put those URLs and stuff up there so you can contact Brooke and get your shellfish. The Independent Lens season concludes with premiere of Two Spirits on Tuesday, June 14th at 10 p.m. Fred Martinez was a Navajo boy who is also a girl. In an earlier era, he would have been revered. Instead, he was murdered. Two Spirits interweaves the tragic story of a mother's loss of her son with a revealing look at the largely unknown history of a time when the world wasn't simply divided into male and female genders, and many Native American cultures held places of honor for people of integrated genders. Powerful and moving, Lydia Nibley's Two Spirits explores the life and death of Fred Martinez and the ancient Native American Two-Spirit tradition. Two Spirits will premiere on the Emmy Award-winning PBS series Independent Lens, hosted by America Ferrara on Tuesday, January 14th, starting at 10 p.m. Check your local listings. Fred Martinez told his mother he felt that it was as if he was both a boy and girl. And she explained that this is a special gift according to traditional Navajo culture, but the place where two discriminations meet is a dangerous place to live. And Fred became one of the youngest hate crime victims in modern history when he was brutally murdered at 16. Between tradition and controversy and freedom and fear lies the truth. The bravest choice you can make is to be yourself. Two Spirit explores issues of national concern, including the bullying and violence commonly known by LGBT people and the epidemic of lesbian, gay, bi, and transgender teen suicide, and reveals the range of gender expression that has long been seen as a healthy part of many indigenous cultures of North America and of Navajo culture in particular. To learn more about the film and the issues involved, visit the companion website for Two Spirits at www.pbs.org/independent-lens/2-spirits. We'll put that URL up so you can go there as well. Find that spot. And tomorrow we're going to bring you a short update on the water walk, the Western Walk, now going through the Yakima Reservation of Washington with elderly grandmother Josephine Mundaman at the helm, almost by herself there. They started a few days ago, and the Atlantic Ocean side starts soon from the East Coast and does walk through the Indian Island Reservation on Maine. I think that's a Penobscot Island. So hopefully you can give a little bit more information on that tomorrow. And as all four directions get on the road shortly, find out where they are and how to help by going to www.emptyglassforwater.ca/map and find out where they are and help out. And today we talk with Shoshone Bannock correspondent Mark Trahant in South Dakota at a journalism workshop and looking at the next national issue regarding extending the debt ceiling of the United States, and then his latest in Denver that begins showing today, The Silence. Mark Trahant, tell us a little bit about what you know about the aversion of the government shutdown, and we're going to get to your show here in just a little bit. But tell us, we missed shutting the U.S. government down. Well, actually, it was shut down for 7 minutes. They had to retroactively apply funding back to make sure that the 7 minutes that wasn't funded were taking place. I was watching the action that evening to see it all happen. So about 7 minutes after 8, they passed a bill and retroactively filled that space. The Bureau of Indian Affairs didn't shut down. Indian tribal schools, tribal government, health services, What's the next step? We've got a budget here for the next couple months, but where are we going with all this?
Yeah, we have a budget in place that'll go through October. But between now and then, we're going to have all sorts of new tensions back and forth. The big one will be over the debt limit and trying to increase basically the credit card limit for the United States of America. That's an interesting one because all of the savings that folks are pushing for could get wiped out if interest rates go up even 1%. So it has big consequences depending on how it shakes out.
When are we looking at this vote on the debt ceiling? And my understanding is the White House is indicating that they feel they have the Republican votes on this, that the Republican Tea Party stalwarts who want to not to raise the ceiling are going to have to capitulate on this one.
I think as soon as they have the votes, they'll get a vote. I'm not sure that they're yet. The official day is in early May, but they can use some budgetary tricks to move accounts around to push it till as late as end of June, early July. So that once they have the votes, they'll call a vote. I think that's what they'll try to do.
What do you think about the rollout of Paul Ryan's budgetary proposal for the future? It seems to me that everything that Democrats and the New Deal and the safety net, everything is on the table. Medicare, Social Security, food stamps, Pell Grants for students, everything.
Right. And it's really interesting. There are some economic assumptions made in that budget that are just beyond fanciful. For example, 4% unemployment rate is just not going to happen. And to make those numbers work, really, every economist that you talk to, the only way to deal with long-term issues is to restructure Medicare, cut defense spending, and raise taxes. You have to do all three.
Indeed. We were looking at some data that indicates that had the state of Wisconsin not repealed or reduced the estate tax on some of the richest folks in Wisconsin, that the entire budget repair issue, which led to the repeal of union arbitration, would have been unnecessary.
Right. And that's true in a lot of places. And certainly the tax cuts in the federal budget played a big role in that too.
Indeed. So there's people that are looking at that. The state of Wisconsin, we had tribal chairman Mike Wiggins go down and basically tell the governor that jobs in northern Wisconsin on the backs of a mine that flows into the watershed of the Quahog sloughs and the wild rice beds isn't going to ever happen under their guard. And of course, Wisconsin is open for business now under the Republican Walker, and but the tribes are putting their line in the sand, saying that 10, 15 years worth of jobs and 1,000 jobs is not worth the next 200 years of feeding families under their treaty rights and the environmental quality.
And you're going to see that play out in many states across the country where tribes recognize the seriousness of this issue.
And tribes are also putting their foot down in regards to raising more money off of the casino revenues. I already hear them posturing in a lot of places on that one.
Not just that. Counties are looking at putting in property taxes over non-trust land. So if someone has land on the reservation, it's fee patent. Many counties are looking at that. In fact, Idaho is right now. They're also looking at trying to segregate out income taxes on reservations for anything made what they would consider off reservation, including out of state. So states, because of their money pressures, are going to be looking to tribes for a lot of this.
Is that going to impact some of the online internet commerce too? I hear that's in the proposal as well.
Well, normally that'd be easy, but they'd have to buy into this federal law called the streamlined sales tax, and that really rankles legislators, so that one probably won't happen.
Okay. Is there anything sacred yet in the formula that's not being touched by the Republicans or the Tea Party, right? Because it's not all the Republicans. My understanding, the Tea Party, right, because the Republicans need that faction, the Tea Party is definitely moving the Republican Party to the right at the moment.
Well, the Ryan budget's a good example of that. Defense still remains untouched. So yeah, there are sacred cows in that.
All right, those expensive toilet seats and screws that cost $58 a piece. Mark Trahant, you're about to become famous, despite the fact that people can already recognize you for your Twitter poetry in airports in Georgia, right?
Right.
Tell us a little bit about The Silence.
Okay. Well, first, before I talk about the silence, let
Okay.
me just pan this around real quick.
Okay.
This is a newsroom of young Native American journalists from really across the country here at Crazy Horse, South Dakota. And this week they're doing things, producing, writing, photography, media, digital media, really everything. It's a great introduction for them. So I just wanted to put in a word for them.
Well,
You
that's
can follow their work at Native Journal on the web.
a true multimedia platform type
Indeed.
of newsroom. And you're not telling them about this secret Skype thing that we got going, are you?
Oh, they'll know about it.
Okay, Mark.
Now the movie.
Now the movie.
Silence is a powerful film, and I really hope a lot of people watch it. You now can post, maybe for your newscast, they have an excerpt you can post.
Yep.
It tells the story of St. Michael, Alaska, which is a village about 200 miles south of the Arctic Circle. So it's very remote, very isolated. And for a stretch of about 20 years, the abuse was so bad that virtually an entire generation of kids were abused. And it's heartbreaking, but I also think it brings about a sense of hope because there's a resilience found from the people that's really remarkable. I was really honored to be able to tell their story for that reason.
Almost the historical story of many, many tribes at different times, trying circumstances in which they overcome the odds and move on. And now they're in the process of trying to heal by talking about these things. Isn't that something, historical trauma, one of the main key emotional, mental health care issues perhaps of Indian country?
Absolutely. And the greatest weapon against that is transparency. The more you can get it out in the open, get people talking about it, demystify it, I think the better chance you have of mental health.
Not an isolated incident by any means, from what we hear anyway, across Canada and the United States, probably Central America, wherever the missions were.
Right. And Alaska was really unbelievable proportions compared to most places, although it would probably be similar to an Indian country.
Is there any rhyme or reason to that? Is it that people who were outcast within the church hierarchy expelled to distant places so they couldn't be seen or heard?
We weren't able to prove that. That's called the dumping ground idea. And the church rejects that. And we just don't have enough evidence. We can't say it really one way or the other. But I will say this, the odds are so much higher there than they were everywhere else that it lends credibility to that idea. And we do know for a fact that in these villages, when people were discovered, they were moved to other villages.
That's interesting. Movie was produced by Native American Public Broadcasting,
They were a co-producer, right, with Frontline.
along with Frontline. We ran your YouTube interview on last Friday. We ran the trailer a little bit, and it's beginning to show tonight on PBS, isn't it?
Right, tonight at 9, check your local listings.
Will they be able to get it on an on-demand somewhere after that?
Yes, it'll be online after it airs.
Okay, well, I'm pleased and honored to know such a famous movie star, narrator, and all that. Give our regards to all the students and tell them we're going to be watching them. For we need reporters like this around the country. Keep them networked in, and we'll keep in touch with you, Mark. And take care of that cough, okay?
Yes, thank
It's
you.
rough. All right, take care, Mark.
Bye.
When it first happened to me, I was 5.
They kept quiet for decades.
They shut their door and locked it.
The odds of being abused in that diocese was higher than any other place in the United States.
But now,
He told us that if we told anybody, they wouldn't believe us because he works for God.
they are breaking the silence. Watch online or on air beginning April 19th.
And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you for joining with us and come back again soon. Miigwech.